Following the first professional wrestler to die from COVID-19 complications last week, with 39-year-old independent luchador Black Demon passing away on the 13th of April, who had been active on the Mexican circuit since 2009, the wrestling world unfortunately has its first case of a former WWE talent dying from the disease. Former WWF and WWF referee John Jack Loltz passed away on Saturday the 18th, aged 86, which his daughter Elizabeth has revealed on social media was due to complications from COVID-19. As one of the top referees for the New York State Athletic Commission, he was the main official for WWF's Madison Square Garden shows, like for Bob Backlund beating superstar Billy Graham for his 1978 WWF World Heavyweight title win. Lotz also refereed matches in each of the first 3 WrestleManias, including WrestleMania 2's boxing match between Mr. T and Roddy Piper, as he was also a legitimate boxing official too. He also appeared as a referee in Martin Scorsese's 1980 boxing movie Raging Bull. While Lotz's has been the only coronavirus death so far, it's unfortunately the 4th wrestling business passing on in under a week, with Howard Finkel last Thursday, the former host of Pro Wrestling This Week, Joe Pedicino, remembered here by Sean Waltman, and the tragically early passing of Memphis manager Travis Scott Bowden at the age of 48, who was posting about wrestling history on Twitter just several days previously. There's no word yet on the cause of his death. All our thoughts here at WrestleTalk are with the deceased's family and friends. It's just another reminder that the world's health services are really struggling right now, which is why all the super chats and money we make tonight from Quizzlemania 4 over on our other wrestling channel, Parts Unknown, will be donated to the Association of NHS Charities, which you can start pledging to now using the link in the video description below. And to give you an extra incentive, Randy Andy Datson will be shaving his head live because Wrestling with Regrets Brian Zane beat him last week. Making Andy shave a penis into his head is just one example of how wrestling fans are a force for good in this world, because we've got to balance out supervillain Vince McMahon now more than ever. At the start of this month, McMahon's relaunched XFL told staff it would be laying off almost all its employees, and then filed for bankruptcy, controversially avoiding the company's debts, reportedly damaging Vince's reputation in the business world, as he had promised at least $300 million worth of investment over the next few years, but was pulling out now, having put in nowhere near that amount. Now The Athletic is reporting former XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck has filed a lawsuit against Vince McMahon personally for wrongful termination, saying he signed a 5-year contract worth between $20 and $25 million that was only 2 years in. According to the lawsuit, Alpha Entertainment's bankruptcy filing on behalf of the XFL was also done to reject many executive contracts at the same time. And because the courts approved those filings, Luck couldn't target Alpha Entertainment directly, so he's had to sue McMahon personally. Action Network point out, though, that Oliver might be out of luck. Actually, quite a serious topic, now's not the time for puns. Explaining his contract was not with McMahon personally, and the lawsuit seems to be a stretch. And that's not the only very serious allegation leveled against McMahon. Thanks for your support on Patreon, The Mountain, Matthew Dennis. During a Florida Board of County Commissioners meeting yesterday, an anonymous WWE employee, how could you vacant, accused the company of forcing its employees to work the Performance Center tapings despite the state's stay-at-home orders, and that they feel unable to speak out and believes they'll be fired if they approach WWE management with their concerns. The public comment continued, saying that despite precautions at the TV tapings, employees are unable to maintain social distancing and have to touch others. They requested the government shut down WWE's tapings so employees can follow social distancing rules without fear of losing their jobs. Reporter John Alba said that while we can't be 100% certain this is a real WWE employee, it should be noted there have been several within the company who have expressed concern, many privately, over the tapings continuing. Wrestling News corroborated those concerns, reporting there are wrestlers who don't want to work WWE's continued tapings fans, but are worried about getting released if they speak out, citing how the company have stopped mentioning Roman Reigns, one of their biggest stars, completely on TV after he refused to attend tapings, and they fear they won't be treated as leniently, especially after last Wednesday's mass firings. For what it's worth, WWE themselves have publicly denied the allegations to PW Insider, saying employees can confidentially go to human resources, not the public. Notwithstanding the appropriate protocol, no one would be fired if they were uncomfortable with their surroundings. We've made accommodations for individuals upon request. The claims were also rebutted by a direct source in the know to WrestleVotes, saying WWE have not forced anyone to work during this time. But then another local reporter, Stephanie Cogneau, posted that a business owner near where WWE are taping their shows is very concerned because he's seen WWE employees not practice social distancing. What do you think about the accusations against WWE? Let me know in the comments because I'll be replying to people from out of quarantine. But even when you're released from WWE, that doesn't even necessarily mean you've escaped the ever-present Backstage Heat. Getting fired from WWE before it was cool, the Revival's Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder were actually immediately released from their contracts several days before Black Wednesday, meaning they could go and work for any company they wanted to right away. If only there was somewhere to work right now. The two have since rebranded to the wonderfully pornographic names Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood, complete with epic moustache. And they've now officially revealed their new tag team name outside of WWE, The Revolt, with their trademark #FTR now standing for Fear the Revolt. But this name hasn't really gone down well with some fans or the North Carolina independent wrestling scene, where the Revolt name has existed for the last 5 years with the team of Caleb Conley and Zane Riley, who called out the former Revival on Twitter. I gotta say, it's a real good name. Almost like a tag team should have been doing it years ago, adding imitation really isn't the best form of flattery. Hey Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, if you need ideas for merch or gear or anything, we got 5 years worth of it just bopping around. To make matters worse, Wheeler and Harwood are also from the North Carolina independent wrestling scene, with some making this heat personal as they've stolen the name from one of their own. PW Insider's report defends Wheeler and Harwood though, pointing out they were likely unaware of the Revolt name already being in use as they've been off the independent scene for quite some time. But that accidental heat hasn't stopped AEW coach Arn Anderson wanting them to join his promotion. The Revolt to AEW confirmed, or whatever their name ends up being. Speaking on the latest episode of his Arn podcast, Anderson praised the former Revival team. I would think they would be the hottest commodity in the business right now. They are the most unselfish, giving guys I have seen in a long time, and they have that same mentality that Tully and I and the original Horsemen had. I think these guys have the talent and the ability that wherever they land, they're going to be a very lucky company. Wink, wink. They're totally going to AEW as soon as possible, wink. The Revival were never properly booked on the main roster, and that got Arn talking about how WWE had misused other talent because of how management viewed them, as he was a long-time producer in the company until only last year. One of the names he mentioned is Dolph Ziggler, who's apparently quite outspoken backstage, which rubs some in power the wrong way. According to Anderson, Dolph wanted to use super kicks in his matches because he does them really well. But WWE wanted him to stop because it was Shawn Michaels' old finishing move, Sweet Chin Music. When Ziggler pushed back against this, management got angry because they don't want opinions, they want blind devotion. Blind Devotion, name of your pay-per-view. While WWE's top officials were down on Dolph, which can still be seen today to an extent, Anderson admitted the producers loved working with him because while he might criticize his booking backstage, he always gave it 100% when he went out to the ring. And the same is apparently the case for arguably one of the best wrestlers in the whole company, Cesaro. Again, according to Anderson, WWE apparently told Cesaro to stop doing his impressive moveset, like super uppercuts and swings, when he turned heel because it was too flashy. Anderson called out WWE for cheating the audience for this, and revealed Cesaro's not a favourite guy of the front office, for whatever reason that is. They're the only ones that know, because everyone else across the planet seems to think he's a superstar, but he continued to get leaned on to stop doing all his impressive moves as a heel. It was just too flashy and all that stuff. I, for one, empathise with WWE. Blind devotion from your underlings is exactly what you want. Like, I don't know, where a certain thumbs-up-loving chopper can take the fall for his boss coming last in our Fantasy Predictions League Wrestle League, which everyone can take part against us in by signing up to our Patreon, links in the video description below. Blind devotion, where they dance on command with their idiotic, stupid thumbs, where I'll never perform AJ Lee's WWE entrance theme on Friday. Oh no, that's all on you, Pete. Dance chopper. A wrestler WWE fired only last week might already be getting brought back to the company. Find out who and why by clicking the video on the right, and set a reminder for Adam Blompier's Quizzlemania 4 later on Parts Unknown, where Andy will be shaving his head live. Click the video below that for that, and make sure to keep checking WrestleTalk.com for the latest wrestling news. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.